All right, let's get this started. I messed up once, can't mess up again. You know, when you're dueling, of course, you can only get that first loss. It's fine, but this is 2 out of 3, my guy. So let's jump into it. We had an interesting interaction with a uh, with one of you guys actually. It came from our Instagram. And of course, we have another one in the works from another one of our followers and everything. So if you're, interested, you can definitely DM us and let us know if there's something that you want us to look at. But one of our uh, one of our little boys sent us a deck to review, and it's sort of a mixed collection of zombies that he was excited about. And I've kind of tested it, played through, played a little bit with Keanu, and we're about to run through it. And if you guys want it in a different format, you can definitely let us know. But I'm actually planning on just going through standard deck profile form. So he started off with double Golden Lord, which everyone knows that's a spicy tech. Golden Lord is definitely real spicy. Um, Kind of expensive. I don't remember the price of it, but I definitely vibe with it. It's a really cool card. Um, you can send that this card and one spell or trap from the hand to graveyard, then target a card on the field, send it to the graveyard. If this card is in the graveyard, you can send a spell or trap you control to the grave and add this to the hand. Then special summon one zombie monster. This one right here. And if you do, until the end of the opponent's turn, it gains 1,000 attack and defense, and it can't be destroyed by card effects. It's pretty busted. Broken spicy tack, light monster, and level 10, unless I'm mistaken. Uh, Following it up with the Doom King, which of course, if you know me, you'll know that there's only like one other card in zombies that I gas up this much. But like, if you don't play Doom King in your zombie deck, like, like, you might not be playing a zombie deck or something. I don't know. And I'm not gonna waste time telling you guys about this. You already know the effect of Doom King. There's the banish and negate. Uh, Jack, which personally I've played a lot more of Jack recently. It's definitely a card that I appreciate. It's not something that's like my go to. It's just kind of like a spicy tech to add into your zombies. Um, I'm not 100% sold on it being like a main deck card, but certainly if you're looking for a superb side, then I would always recommend Jack. It's a single here, which typically I run multiple. Um, oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear. Oh, I know what I did. I done messed up, fellas. I done messed up. It's fine. I'll get to that later. So, after Jack, you go to Red Baron. Red Baron, of course, lets you pay 1,000, and then you target one card or one monster your opponent controls, and one you have. It has to be a vampire though, and you'll actually swap them. And like most other vampires, if at the end of the battle phase this card is destroyed any monsters, you can special summon them from the grave to your side of the field. I think that's a pretty busted up move. Pretty spicy tech there. Next up, Scarlet Scourge. This one right here, pretty cool. Lets you pay a grand to special summon one vampire other than Scarlet Scourge. That card won't be able to affect, or not affect, it won't be able to attack that turn. But, for the most part, that's completely fine. It's just about getting advantage. And definitely Scarlet Scourge, especially if you're building a vampire deck, is a key card that you want to have. Um, of course, again, if it destroys anything by battle, then you can actually special summon that back to your side of the field. Next up, Vampire Fraulein. Now, I'm not going to go into detail about Vampire Fraulein because, as you guys know, um, we don't read around here. But Vampire Fraulein is the card that I will gas up the most if it comes to any zombie card that needs to be in a deck. It should be Vampire Fraulein. Instant special summon when a monster attacks. That's crazy. When a monster declares an attack, special summon in defense position, 2,000 defense position, which is pretty strong. Most people will kind of downplay it, like, oh, it's only 2,000. But I mean, that's pretty busted up considering its effect can, bolster the attack and defense of something else by multiples of 100. I mean, that's pretty crazy. So definitely having two is something that I've recently realized is like necessary, probably. Next up, double Necroworld Banshee, otherwise known as Monster Terraforming. Absolutely busted card. As soon as this is on the field, really, because I believe, yeah, you can banish it from the field or the graveyard and activate a zombie world directly from your hand or deck. I'm not going to spell that out for you guys as to why that's like, a major move. But, if you're looking at the cards on the screen right now, yeah, that right there. That right there is, you know what I mean. Next up, double Mizuki. Mizuki is another one of those cards where if you have it in a zombie deck, you're really maximizing your play style. It allows you to easily bring your monsters back just by removing it. Recursion in any zombie deck is a major, massive deal. And if you're not down for it, I'm sorry for your loss. Next up, now I will say the guy that sent it to us, he had triple Samurai Skull, but he said that he was looking at changing a Samurai Skull with the Gozuki, and in his side there was a Gozuki. So I went ahead and actually just swapped them because if that was his idea anyway, he may have already jumped to it. But I will go over whether or not I think it's a good idea in just a second. So, Gozuki, sort of like a Foolish Burial, except better. And I would say Gozuki really could be bumped to 2 in most decks if someone was so inclined. I ran Gozuki at 2 for a couple of weeks and I liked it. I don't really remember why I took it out, but definitely Gozuki as a double is a fantastic option. Next up, Samurai Skull. I had actually never played this card. And it's definitely one of those cards where I'm now interested and willing to kind of look into it more. But of course, as you see, when it's normal summoned, you send one zombie monster from deck to grave. If this card and its owner's control leaves the field because of an opponent's card effect, you can special summon one level 4 or lower zombie monster from your deck except for Samurai Skull. So basically another form of Foolish Burial, which is fantastic. Ultimately, having that extra effect of if the face-up card leaves its owner's control because of an effect, especially summoning one level 4 or lower from the deck is interesting, but I don't think it's 100% like amazing and like super great in this deck, only because I don't think a lot of people are going to target this one to stop. Although, you know, um, negates and destroying a card and everything based on um, it using its effect. I mean, this could easily, very easily, have a hand trap dedicated to it. So it's possible. I just don't know how likely it is. Next up, triple Shiranui Solitaire. Of course, you know that with Shiranui Solitaire, you're able to bring out a zombie tuner with 0 attack, or 0 defense, I mean, which of course means that you go to triple Una. Unizombie, perfect. It is like the perfect version of Foolish Burial, because you get one from the deck and you can get one from the hand, same turn. That is absolutely busted, insane. Next up, Double Ash, and he actually went with alternate artwork, so I wanted to honor that and do both on here. Um, uh, I believe currently I'm still running um, Ash, and I think most decks should run Ash. It's a very like busted, spicy tech, but personally, I've jumped onto the Ghost Belle bandwagon. I mean, she's a beast. All right, like if you're not playing Ghost Belle, again, I am sorry for your loss. And once again, he had alternate artwork on his, so I wanted to honor that again. Um, he's got Vampire Retainer and Vampire Familiar. Now, if you haven't already, you can go check out our full Vampire Zombie deck video from a couple weeks back, and we'll go over, these cards. Honestly, all of the vampire cards that appear in this, we'll go over them and explain, our thoughts and feelings on them. But to cut a little bit of time from this video, I don't want it to make it too long. I'm going to go ahead. Next, double Glow Up Bloom. Double, always a good move. Especially considering you only have 2 Doom Kings. I think it's best to maximize your space and not try to draw it out and have that extra one. Don't go for 3, just keep the 2. Book of Life. Now, you target 1 zombie in your grave and 1 monster in your opponent's grave, and then you special summon the first and banish the second. I used to play this card all the time, and it's definitely a fantastic card. And I was recently wondering if I should, kind of add it in. Ultimately, I think the only problem is I don't have much of a way to get to it. It's kind of just like luck if you get to it. But, playing a lot of decks, if you can banish their cards, you can kind of end the game. So I don't think this is a bad addition. I think it's pretty cool. Next up, we have Elixir of Black Awakening. You special summon 1 zombie monster from hand or deck in defense position, but if you control no Eldritch monsters, you can only special summon Eldritch monsters with this effect. For the rest of the turn after this card resolves, you can't special summon monsters except zombies. You can banish this card from your grave and set 1 Golden Land spell or trap directly from your deck. You can use 1 Elixir Black Awakening effect per turn, and only once that turn. So all of the Elixirs and Eldritch support cards are pretty cool because they're pretty general for zombies. Unless you don't have, of course, a Eldritch card in the field. Next up, we got a Terraforming, aka the spell Necroworld Banshee. Terraforming goes exclusively in zombie decks. If you didn't, sorry, but I just gave you some new knowledge. Tai Lopez style. Next up, Foolish Burial. I'm not going over that one. You guys know it. I'm not going to treat you like you're stupid. Super Poly, always a great option. He went double Super Poly on this one, and I really appreciate that. I think sometimes having that 3rd Super Poly that we have can make us overzealous, and it might cause us to, fire one off real quick. Next up, Burial from Different Dimension. Target up to 3 banished monsters and return them to the graveyard. Now, I honestly did not ever consider using this card. And I'm glad that he added it in here because it gives me, you know, something to think about, which is that, you end up banishing a lot of cards with this deck. A lot of cards are dependent on banishing themselves and other cards. And it's honestly like kind of stressful if you get to the towards the end of a game and you banished a lot of cards, because sometimes it's just one that you need, but it happens to be banished. So I think definitely having a burial from a different dimension is a great option. Real spicy tech on that one. Next up, Elixir of White Destiny. Special summon a zombie from hand or graveyard. Of course, uh, if you don't control an Eldritch, you can only special summon an Eldritch. For the rest of the turn after this card resolves, you can't special summon monsters except zombies. And during your main phase, you can banish this card to set one Golden Land Spell Trap. Of course, if that sounds familiar, it's because it is. So, next up, Vampire's Domain. Once per turn, you can pay 500 life points during your main phase, and you can normal summon an additional vampire monster past your normal summon. Let's see. Each time your vampire monster inflicts damage to your opponent, you actually gain the same amount of life points. So, I believe we had this in our vampire video, and I think it's a really awesome card. That being said, I don't think the life point effect is that amazing, mainly because we don't typically like to lose a whole lot of life points. And we don't like to be like, excessive in having, a shit ton. So next up, Accursed Elderland. Can't declare attacks except with zombie monsters. You can only use each of the following effects of Cursed Elderland once per turn. You can pay 800, add one Eldritch monster, or one Golden Land Spell or Trap from deck to hand. And if this card is sent from the spell and trap zone to the graveyard, you can send one Eldritch monster or one Golden Land Spell or Trap from the deck to the graveyard. Triple Zombie World. Not going over that one. Sorry. Again, next up, Elixir of Scarlet Sanguine. You can special summon one zombie monster from deck or grave. If it's not an Eldritch, then you have to summon an Eldritch. You can banish this card from the grave and set one Golden Land Spell or Trap directly from the deck. Again, if it sounds familiar, it's because it is. And next up, Conquistador of the Golden Land. You can special summon this. That's the interesting thing about this deck, actually, is that he has the Conquistador of Golden Land, as well as Guardian of the Golden Land, and they're both token monsters or token traps, which I think are super underrated. So both of these you can normal summon them. One's level 8, one's level 5, and then if you control an Eldritch, you can destroy one face-up card on the field. During the end phase, you can banish this card from the graveyard, set one Elixir, spell a trap directly. And this one right here, if you control an Eldritch, you can make the attack of a face-up monster become 0. And again, banish, and then take an Elixir, spell or trap directly from the deck. Oh, don't do that. Oh, I did it. Dang it, guys. Well, that's what happened earlier, too. So, Golden Land Forever. When a spell or trap card or monster effect is activated, while you control an Eldritch monster, you contribute one zombie monster. Negate the activation if you do. Destroy that card. Obviously, we love a good Omni Negate here. You know what I'm saying? Next up, he went with actually triple rivalry, but I deleted it by accident. Don't tell anyone. Not telling you what that does. It's pretty self-explanatory. And again, Vampire Domination. Another really, really fantastic Omni Negate that, again, if you're looking for it, we have a run through of all of these cards on our Vampire video. We're going to go into the extra deck now. Link Karibo, a Vendread Savior, also known as Revendread Slayer, which I think definitely in this deck gives you a lot of opportunities to really disrupt your opponents by reducing their attack. I think this one, like if you were going to have a card in this extra deck, it probably does need to be a Vendread Savior. Next up, Double Sucker. That's a big ol' plus right there. Next, we got Yuki Onna, the Absolute Zero Mayakashi. I believe this is the card he had on there. I really couldn't see too well, but I believe this was the one. And you need 2+ zombie monsters, of course. And you can only control one. Negate any activated effects of your opponent's banished monsters. If a monster is special summoned from the graveyard or a monster effect is activated in the graveyard, except during the damage step, you can target one other face-up monster on the field, change its attack to 0, and if you do negate its effect, you can only use the effect of Yuki Onna, the Absolute Zero Mayakashi, up to twice per turn. Now, I think that's fantastic that you can use it twice. A lot of cards love to do that once per turn stuff, and I don't know if I would necessarily put this in here because I'm not a huge like Link person personally, but I do really like this card, and I think it's an awesome addition that I hadn't thought of. Borreload, we've put Borreload in so many decks at this point. I'm not going to bore you guys with the details on that one. Similarly, we have Crimson Knight, Vampire Bram, um, Dragulis, the Vampiric Dragon, and Vampire Sheridan that we've covered before. So if you're interested, make sure that you go to that vampire video. I might even put the link in the description. I'm not entirely sure just yet. Next up, we got a good old-fashioned Zombie Steen. I've never really run Zombie Steen too much. But, you know, 2 level 8 Dark Monsters. Of course, that means you're aiming to use your Doom Kings for this one. And can't be special summoned by other ways once per turn. During either player's turn, you can detach 1 Xyz material from this card and send 1 card from your hand to the grave, and then target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls. Change it to defense position. If you do, it has its effects negated until the end of this turn. Now, I like Zombie Steen, but I also wish Zombie Steen did piercing damage. Typically with a card this strong, at 4,500, you have like some kind of piercing effect, especially when it has the ability to change an opponent's monster to defense. It's one of those things where I think they really missed an opportunity, because I feel like, me personally, I would rather have the piercing with the position change than a what's it called? Than a negate. Next up, Zombie Necro, and Beals, Starving Venom with double Nether Soul Dragon. And I think that this guy really was trying to I think he was trying to he was trying to, I don't know, maybe send us his love, because he put this Nether Soul in here, and he knows how much we love that card. But overall, my thoughts on this deck, they kind of come down to I've test-handed it a couple, and it's not necessarily that it's bad. I think that there's some really great opportunities in this deck, but it feels like maybe there are too many cards. I'm not a huge 60 card deck person. As you can see from our videos, we typically go 40 to 45, and I think that he could maybe just trim the fat, maybe cut the vampire cards, and I think that would make a more solid deck. But overall, it's certainly not a bad deck. And if you want to go into this, I ended a couple games with nice boards, but overall, if I had to give it a rating, I'd have to give it a pretty solid good. you know. I think it's a good deck. I would just make some slight modifications. I think especially with the Eldritch cards involved, you have a lot of really interesting opportunities to um, special summon and make a really amazing. Um, oh gosh, guys, I closed it again. Really amazing. Oh, really amazing combo. But I would say that you also want to just make sure that you um, I would just say you want to make sure that you know what you're doing. That you worked really hard to uh, get your strategies down. Of course, right here have our Broski Gamers Instagram if you want to follow it at Broski Gamers. And shout out to this guy, Sean Douglas, real awesome guy. Sent 2 drafts of it, and yeah. If you guys want to see another one, we have another review coming up soon. And see you guys in the next one.